With so much stuff happening around in DevOps and all of the related domains that I'll be talking about later in the video, I think it's time to create a right DevOps roadmap that would help you in order to navigate and create a learning path for you so that you can become a DevOps engineer. My name is Sam Pathak. You are watching Cube Simplified. Let's get started and let's dive into the ultimate DevOps roadmap. So let's get started without wasting any time. DevOps Roadmap 2025. Before diving into what you need to learn and from where you need to learn, let's talk about some of the various roles which are associated with DevOps ecosystem. Now, there is a DevOps engineer. So DevOps basically is a culture, is a mindset. When you write software, you write the piece of code. Let's say you are watching Netflix and chatting on WhatsApp. So these are applications. So you are the consumers of the application. Now there are producers of the applications as well. So when you produce means you are writing the code and the end result is the applications that is viewed by the customers. That whole process, now there is a whole process and a whole journey that travels from a producer writing the code to the consumer consuming the code. So you write the code and you push it somewhere and it goes through different cycles and then it reaches to the end user. So with that in mind, there is something that has to be culturally integrated within the teams to complete and create a full DevOps life cycle. So that is the whole CI/CD, the infinity graph that you might have seen. So it's a culture, mindset, automation that is involved, infrastructure as code, and you need to know cloud, containers, Kubernetes, its monitoring. Now, there are specific domain expertise roles as well. For example, these days, it is a lot trending that platform engineering is something which has taken over DevOps. So there is no more DevOps, and now it is platform engineers. So what platform engineers basically means is platform engineering is basically creating an internal developer platforms or creating some sort of platforms within the organizations to ease out the developer experience for the teams within your organizations. So you build the IDPs, then you manage those IDPs. Basically, you create a complete platform within the organization for each and every team, and they will be able to then get Kubernetes or whatever they need from the platform. But in the end, platform also is a piece of software layer that you write or the infra layer automation that you do. So in the end, all the stuff that a DevOps engineer does is there in platform as well. So when you create the platform, you need the DevOps engineer for the platforms. You need the SREs for the platforms. You need the domain expertise for the platforms. You need the cloud expertise for the platforms. So all these roles are also there in platforms, but now they can be termed as platform engineering, which is okay. But that doesn't mean that DevOps is dead. DevOps engineering still plays a very crucial part, and all the stuff that I'll be talking about that you need to learn in order to become DevOps engineer are very well valid for all the other domains as well. And talking about Kubernetes, when you are focusing on like very heavy focus on as a Kubernetes engineer, then yes, it's more of like writing or knowing about Kubernetes operators, Golang, the whole CNCF, technology landscape and how it integrates with it. When you talk about cloud engineer, it's more of solution engineering kind of thing, architectural kind of thing, how you create those architectures, designing the solutions on various cloud providers like AWS, GCP, Azure, Oracle, and stuff like that. SREs means that ensuring system reliability, scalability, and performance. It includes some of the terminologies like SLOs, SLIs, service level objectives, indicators, very heavily focused on the monitoring and alerting side of things. So that's on a gist of what roles are. But overall, for every domain or every role that I have just spoken about, there is a roadmap. And now I'll step by step walk you through what you need to learn and how you need to learn, and most importantly, from where you need to learn for free. So first is the prerequisites. So before even diving into, cloud containers, Kubernetes and stuff, you need to take a step back and learn about Linux. Let's say you are sitting on a Windows laptop or a Mac machine. So you are running an operating system. There is a Windows OS or a Mac OS, or if you are creating a virtual machine, a EC2 instance in AWS, then it's a operating system over there as well, which is Amazon Linux. you should know what Linux is, what are Linux distributions like Ubuntu, Fedora, Rocky. Then there are some K8s, native Linux as well, which is Talos and Flatcar. Then you need to know how you install the softwares on that. Like you can use Homebrew for your Mac, and you use app, and then you use Yum. Then you should know about user management, files, directories, some of the basic commands and stuff, journal CTL, text editors like Vim, Nano, SSH. How do you log in into the systems remotely? Web servers, you need to know about Nginx, you need to know about Apache, you need to know about HA proxy and traffic, because when you create highly available architectures, the proxies play a very important role. Then in general, what is HTTP, HTTPS, DNS, NSLOOKUP? And when you write these, then you also write scripts. Now, after writing the lyrics, like after knowing about the Linux operating system, you do all the commands, and then you create automation scripts out of those commands. And that is called bash scripting. That can be done using bash. You can use programming languages like Golang and Python to interact with systems. You should also know about the automations using makefile, taskfile. I have also prepared a list of very common general commands, which I have also created as part of Excel sheet. I'll also publish a PDF version of this in the description of the video. So these are the common set of commands that you definitely need to know as a DevOps engineer. And I think they are kind of self-sufficient in knowing about Linux. Now, one of the very good workshops done by my friend Chad on Cube Simplify on Linux and Docker fundamentals gives you a very good golden path on learning Linux. And then there is this particular video, 10-minute video, in which Chuck explains, I think, 50, 60 commands, which is also dope. All the videos, graphics, screenshots that you're seeing on the screen, all the links, the free links will be provided in the description of the video. I already have created a gist, so you can see all the links are already here, and I'll put that in the description of the video too. Coming next, networking is pretty important. How stuff works, how web browser works. When you type google.com, what happens? What is HTTP? What is HTTPS? What is a switch, router, internet service provider? What is that? How is the internet coming to your laptop? What is LAN? What is WAN? What is a router, which is somewhere behind me? How it works? What is basic subnetting? What is IP addressing? What is L4, L7 networking? What is the DNS basics? When something goes wrong, it's always the DNS. What is the DNS? What are the basics of that? What is switching? What is routing? Now, I'm not saying that you actually need to know everything about networking or you need to be CCNA certified, but these are very, very good resources to learn all these concepts. So go through these videos. Maybe we just go to half of the videos, like half of it in selecting all the topics that I have mentioned over here, and not the entire videos, which is totally fine. And then Kubernetes networking is pretty important. And there are two videos that I would highly recommend. Is one by myself, where I explain Kubernetes networking. One is by James and Ricardo that they just gave at KubeCon North America 2024, Understanding Kubernetes Networking in 30 minutes. Moving on, it's very important to understand about YAML. YAML, you can just learn this particular tutorial from Tech World with Nana, and you'll be getting a gist of YAML. Because in the end, when you'll be writing Docker files or Kubernetes manifest, you'll be writing YAML files. So you need to know about YAML. Now, we were talking about software. So where does this software live? So it lives on the source code repositories. Now, Git is one of the popular source code repository like GitHub, where your code lives, and Git you use to kind of interact with that. So how to work, you should know how to work with Git. You should know when you are working with GitHub, like how to create a repo, how to clone it, how to write code and pull the branches, push it, rebase, fork, clone, resolve the conflicts on the pull request, and then what is GitHub Actions? What is the repository structure? What are the best practices for that? How do you manage secrets when you are pushing your code onto the GitHub repository? What is GitHub? What is GitLab? So there are three main videos that I recommend over here. One is Git for Dummies, and then two videos by Scott, who is a co-founder of GitHub. So you should definitely know Git. Now, till now, this I would say is the prerequisites. So this is the prerequisite section for the DevOps. Now, this is definitely that you need to understand. So you have learned the Linux, you now know networking, you now know YAML, you now know Git. Now let's move to the actual path where you would learn more core DevOps concepts. So cloud is one, because in the end, you will be working with cloud or on-prem. Mostly it will be cloud. And there are a lot of cloud providers like GCP, Azure, AWS, Oracle, or the basic fundamentals, the fundamental concepts. Like there's compute in all the cloud providers. There's network in all the cloud providers. And there is storage in all the cloud providers. There is S3 and there is Google Cloud Storage, and there is, with all the cloud providers, there is specific storage that is associated. So you need to know the basic concepts. And what you can do is take any cloud, since AWS has the major share in the cloud market. So you can go with AWS. Now, what I recommend over here is going through the certification paths. Why it is important is because you will get to know the whole cloud concepts using that certification path, and that gives you a way, like this is what you learn, this is what you learn, this is how you navigate for the cloud and stuff like that, because you are learning from very basics. Now you are onto that DevOps path and you know nothing, so you need to know it from scratch. So that is why I recommend 4 videos over here. AWS certified cloud practitioner, this is one. Then AWS certified developer associate, then solution architect, and yeah, AI practitioner is something that you probably want to do in the end. And then each cloud provider has their own learning paths. So I'll just quickly show you that. For example, learning by role or solution. This is by AWS. I have already put the link in the gist that I'll put in the description as well. So let's say you want to be a developer or cloud practitioner or solution architect or a DevOps engineer. Now, as soon as you go to a DevOps engineer, you will find this. This is the DevOps engineer learning path. You can enroll for free in that particular learning path, and you can see getting started with DevOps, CLI basics, advanced testing using DevOps tools, all that things are available. Same is with Google. So grow your skills with Google Cloud Training. There are a lot of trainings which are there. And then this specific is DevOps engineering or SRE learning path. So it has like hands-on labs, cloud fundamentals, developing a Google SRE culture, reliable Google Cloud infrastructure, logging and monitoring, observability of Google Cloud. All these things are very important, and most of them are free. I think only the labs should be paid, but I think the videos are free. Then same for Microsoft Azure. So you have the fundamental trainings, describe architecture, fundamentals, all these things are also there. So with cloud, you have a lot of free material from the cloud providers and from YouTube that you can learn. Let's move on to the virtualization and containers. So now you know Linux, you know networking, you know GitHub, you know cloud concepts, you know YAML manifest. It's time to learn the containerization concepts. Now, containers are being the de facto standard for writing the code. So you write the code, you package it as containers, and then you ship it. So you need to understand the virtualization concepts. You need to understand what are containers, why it is important, what is Docker, what are some of the alternatives that you have, Podman and Buildia. What is nerdctl that you can use to communicate with containerd? What is containerd? What is, some of the tools that I created along with my friends called BuildSafe, how you can actually package your application without Docker using Co or Jib. What is OCI? What is CRI? What is the runtime? What is runc? What is containerd? So like you can see over here, you have a virtual machine, how virtualization layer works, the slicing of the CPU, slicing of the physical memory using the hypervisor layer, and how container virtualizes the operating system. And you have the physical VM, you have the different network users operating system layer that is there, and then you have the container runtime, and then how you create those container on top of that. Then how Docker engine uses containerd, and then containerd shims request goes to runc, and that creates the process. And how actually runc and run wazi shims, these shims actually can be replaced and be used to run very complex and next level workloads called the WebAssembly workloads. So if you don't understand anything, then that's good, because you need to learn all of these things. So one of the very interesting and great videos I would like to recommend over here is Docker Beginner to Pro by Sid Pays, one of my good friends, and the Docker networking video by Network Chunks. I think this is very, very dope video. Also, Linux and Docker fundamentals. The same workshop continues after you watch Linux. Chad also teaches Docker. And also Ivan courses with labs. So this is what I'm talking about, interactive courses that you can use. Ivan creates a lot of dope content again, and he has created a lot of labs around that. So again, highly recommend all of these resources. Coming to my favorite part, Kubernetes. Now in Kubernetes, there are a lot of things that you need to learn. So Kubernetes has, like, starting from HA installed, you need to observe Kubernetes, you need to troubleshoot, you need to know about the auto scaling concepts, you need to know about service mesh, security, chaos, ArgoCD, flux, infrastructure as codes, backup. But how do you start? So I have a full-fledged workshop series on Cube Simplify. So you start with the basics, like you start with Kubernetes 101 workshops. You move on to GitOps ArgoCD, then security, then chaos, and troubleshooting, service mesh, and observability. I also have books, CK and CK scenarios, and there is a Kubestronaut certification. So Kubestronaut is a person who completes 5 certifications. Here also I recommend a certification path. Why? Because the path gives you what you need to learn in order to be certified, and that would give you a gist what you need to learn in Kubernetes. So when you talk about all of these, most of this are the concepts that are required for achieving these certifications. So you can definitely work on learning from all of these contents. So usually, this, I was telling you that there is this code commit, then you build it, then you test it, you deploy it, you release it, and you monitor it. So which is the complete CI/CD pipeline for a DevOps engineer. But when you talk about the cloud native way of doing things, it means that you need to understand, obviously, the cloud concepts. You need to understand various toolings for that. Now, the tooling here I would recommend learning is GitHub Actions, which is definitely for CI. So you need to learn one CI tool, which is GitHub Actions or GitHub Actions or Jenkins. So go with GitHub Actions. You can use this particular course for the GitOps kind of thing. So you can learn ArgoCD. So there's this workshop, and you can also learn some of my videos on ArgoCD. And then you should also know about CI/CD using GitLab. So for that, I have put Nana's 1 hour GitLab CI/CD course over here. So I think these are enough resources to get you equipped with the modern CI/CD solutions with Kubernetes, and which is what important. People are creating these kind of CI/CD solutions. Yes, Jenkins is one. There are a lot of resources on Jenkins as well that you can learn Jenkins. Moving on, we have infrastructure as code. Now, infrastructure as code is important because that gives you a declarative infra management, that you know your state of your infrastructure. It gives you automation, no manual errors, no misconfiguration. Some of the tooling in this particular area is OpenTofu, Terraform, Crossplane, Pulumi. We have workshops on both Terraform and OpenTofu. The courses are there on Cube Simplify that you can check out. And then you can also check out Andrew Brown's HashiCorp Terraform Associate Certification course. All of this gives you a very good deep understanding on IOC. Since you are doing DevOps, I would recommend just pick one tool from each of the domains and then you do this. For example, here you can use OpenTofu or Terraform. Just go with that. Here you can use GitHub Actions for CI and ArgoCD for CD. Go for that. Kubernetes, yes, definitely you need to know the basic concepts. Here you can just learn about Docker, which is fine, and Docker networking. And here you can just go with AWS as a starting path, and then whatever your job would require, you can just say that I know all these things. Git is something which is very simple, and then for networking I have already explained. So like this, you can choose the toolings. Coming on next is observability. Observability is very key, especially from the SRE perspective, but also from the DevOps ecosystem. Like you might be tasked to set up the complete monitoring pipeline or monitoring solution for your softwares. So in observability, you have 4 key areas: monitoring, logging, tracing, profiling. So for tooling wise, I recommend like you go with Prometheus, and for HA Prometheus, you go with Thanos, and then for visibility, you go with Grafana. For logging, you can learn about Loki and Elastic. For tracing, Jaeger. For profiling, Parka. Now on two shout out, I want to give to the tools of Open Observe and Signos, which are open source tools that you can learn for complete observability solutions, which are alternative to New Relic or Datadog. Observability in 5 hours, very good course. Kubernetes Observability Workshop, extremely well taught Kubernetes Observability Workshop that you should do. And also Open Telemetry playlist. This is very, very, very awesome Open Telemetry playlist that you should definitely learn from. Next up is chaos engineering. In chaos engineering, there are 2 tools, Litmus and Chaos Mesh. I have spoken about both of them. We already have a workshop on chaos engineering with Litmus. Obviously, you need to know the basics remains the same. Then you can learn about the new stuff from the documentation. And then I recently did in 2023 a chaos engineering with Chaos Mesh in 2023. Policies. Policies are very important. Now, there are two ways. One is by installing softwares on top of that on Kubernetes clusters like OPA Gatekeeper and Kyberno. You can learn from these videos. And one is integrated. So recently, Kubernetes has been pushing a lot for CEL, admission-based policies. So Kubernetes validating admission policy is pretty important. So I recommend this particular KubeCon talk here. I also created one validating admission policy video on Kube Simplify that is 3 years old. A lot has changed since then, so that is why I'm recommending the latest one over here. Coming to Kubernetes service mesh, there are a few service mesh like Istio, Linkerd, Cilium. So you can do either Linkerd or you can go through the service mesh workshop. Coming to Kubernetes security. So yeah, you might be thinking there are so many things to learn. Yes, that is true, because there are so many things to learn when it comes to DevOps. It's not easy. People say there is no coding. No, why you say that? There is coding involved. There is a lot of things which is involved in the DevOps ecosystem, and that a lot of heavy tooling involved in this particular ecosystem. Coming to Kubernetes security, there is a lot of things. First, yes, you can go through the CKS roadmap, Certified Kubernetes Security Specialty Exam by CNCF, and a complete roadmap. You can go through my book and my series as well on Kube Simplify, a Kubernetes security workshop on Kube Simplify, a recent tool that we built called Build Safe to build zero CVE images, and all the stuff in that. So supply chain security is pretty important over here. Static security, scanning, cluster hardening is pretty important. Tools like Kube Armor, Kubescape, all these tools are important. Trivi. So you should be knowing about all these tools. Documentation serves a very good purpose over here. Next is Kubernetes and AI. Very interesting topic. And in the past few KubeCons, there has been a lot of buzz about Kubernetes and AI. So yes, a Kubeflow is something that you need to learn. So I give you hands-on workshop link to that. Kubernetes and AI called KHGPT. We have a course on that, and MLOps course for beginners from Free Code Camp. Very interesting videos. And yes, Kube Simplify will be creating a lot of content on Kubernetes and AI. After you do all of these, you need to create some projects. Well, you are in luck because there is already a DevOps project. For example, you can see here, we have cluster creation. Then we deploy an application. We use GitHub. We create an application, we instrument that application using Prometheus. And then we also use a backend, which is cloud native PG. We use Co and Build Safe to build the application so that we get a zero CVE OCI image. Then we deploy that application. We use ArgoCD and GitHub Actions for CI/CD. We use Prometheus and Grafana for visualization and monitoring. We use Cert Manager and Gateway API for HTTPS. We use K6 for load testing. So an end-to-end DevOps project video, which is there, you should definitely check that out and create those DevOps projects. And things doesn't end over here. No. There are things that you need to learn beyond that to stand out from the audience. You need to learn about platform engineering, how to build IDPs. You need to learn about Backstage. You need to learn about differences between platform engineering and similarities between platform engineering and DevOps. You need to know about EVPF. You need to know about WebAssembly codes. Now, I am saying you need to know only when you want to go in the edge. Like as a DevOps engineer, maybe you do not need to know about this, but these things add values. A lot of tooling uses eBPF, like for example, Cilium. And Cilium is one of the CNIs that you use in Kubernetes. So this might help. Platform engineering. WebAssembly is something which is, hardcore stuff and new stuff in 2024 and which will keep rising in 2025. And also tools like Backstage, Port, all these things are great in the platform engineering space. Multi-tenancy using vCluster and everything contributes towards the things good to know. So these are good to know stuff. So yes, that's the complete DevOps roadmap. I hope it helps you, and all the resources over here are enough for you to become a DevOps engineer or a platform engineer or a cloud engineer or a SRE or a Kubernetes engineer. Let me know in the comment section what you want me to create content on, and I'll definitely work on that. There are a lot of stuff that we are already working on in 2025. I hope the first day of 2025 with this video gives you some motivation to become a DevOps engineer. And this roadmap with all the free resources gives you motivation that everything is available. You just need internet connection and a system to work on and learn DevOps. So go get started and become a DevOps engineer and give yourself 6 months time. Keep check every month, and anyone can transition to DevOps. Yes, there I said it. Anyone and everyone can transition into DevOps, no matter from what background you are coming in from. And these are all basic stuff basic to advanced stuff that I have covered in this particular roadmap. I hope it helps, and a very happy new year. And comment what you liked from this particular video and what all you would need from me to create the content on. Thank you so much for watching this, and make sure to subscribe to the channel. Share this DevOps roadmap with everyone so that now everyone has all the free resources to learn DevOps. If you want to know about paid resources, just comment. I'll tell you some of the good paid resources to invest your money as well. Thank you so much for watching this video. See you in the next one.